Up till the time I was about 17 or so, Bach meant very little. Then I began to study the St. Matthew Passion. But before that, Bach had meant only some pretty monotonous stuff that I heard sometimes on the radio or at concerts, plus some piano pieces I was given to practice. There were exceptions here, too, of course. For instance, I can remember being deeply moved by the slow movement of the Italian concerto with its long, mournful line of pure Italian melody. Why did this piece move me when most of Bach's music didn't? Because of its immediacy. It was instantly comprehensible to me as an expression of, let's say, grief, whereas the mainstream of Bach's music seemed to me to be nothing but endless pages of 16th notes chugging along like a train, yabba-dabba-dabba-dabba-dabba-dabba. And the emotion contained in that was hardly discernible to me. It seemed to me more like motion than emotion. I remember trying to find ways of playing it that would make it seem more exciting, like giving it rhythmic distortions, which I thought was giving it warmth. So on. Then I remember trying to turn it into a whirlwind of lightness and virtuosity. Then I would try to make it sound like a great dynamic eruption. But all these ways were, of course, dead wrong, because they were only artificially covering up what seemed to me a basic dullness. But I was soon to learn, as I hope you are, that there are great beauties hidden in this music. Only they're not so immediate as we expect them to be. They lie beneath the surface, so to speak. But because they do, they don't rub off so easily. They last and last. Why is Bach's music less immediate than the music of, say, Brahms or Tchaikovsky? Well, perhaps the main reason is that his music is not obviously dramatic. And we've been so spoiled by music written since Bach, which is essentially dramatic in nature, that we've come to expect drama of one sort or another in music, and we're disappointed and bored when we don't get it. Well, what makes music dramatic, anyway? Contrast. And by contrast, I mean the principle of composition that involves contrast, the principle of duality, of two themes, two contrasting ideas or emotions within any single movement. Now, in Bach, any single movement is concerned with one single idea. It's in the music written since Bach that this dualistic principle has flourished. Think of almost any Beethoven symphony, like the Eroica. The first theme is masculine in quality, while the second is feminine. Or take the second piano concerto of Rachmaninoff, where the first theme is aggressive and agitated, while the second theme is reposeful and lyrical. And then there is always the further contrast of tonalities. The first theme is in one key and the second is in another. See, contrast makes drama. Black against white, good against evil, joy and grief, day and night. But Bach represented the last stand against this dualistic concept. He clung to the old concept of one thing at a time, day or night, grief or joy, which is certainly as valid a concept as the other. Only, as I said, we've been spoiled. And so, in order to enjoy his music, we must reorient ourselves to him and learn to expect music that is always about one thing at a time. Once the theme is stated at the beginning, the main event is over, and the rest of the movement will then be a constant elaboration, discussion, reiteration of that main event, just as the architecture of a bridge grows inevitably out of one initial arch. Now listen to these opening bars of his Fifth Brandenburg Concerto, for instance, for harpsichord, violin, flute, and strings, and I think you'll see what I mean. In the same way, spinning out those wonderful long lines. But if you're expecting any change in mood, a sudden slowing down or yielding to sentimental lyricism, contrast, in other words, you're not going to get it. There is contrast, all right. There are changes of keys, different instrumental groupings, loud and soft, but the dramatic contrast of themes is not there. This is music based on one chain of related ideas which are treated, developed, and investigated to the hilt. This is known as the argumentative technique, the technique of taking one subject and discussing it fully, which I suppose sounds offhand intellectual. Well, it is intellectual, but whoever said that music had to be easy to be beautiful? Let's just admit it's complex, pull in our belts, take a deep breath, and get to know Bach on his own terms.